The cardboard box slipped from my grip, spilling old photo albums across the garage floor. I bent down to gather them, cursing under my breath at Kate's insistence that we needed to reorganize everything before the holidays. 6 months of couples therapy had taught me to pick my battles, and if reorganizing the garage would make her happy, then I'd spend my Saturday afternoon doing exactly that. Alex, did you find the Christmas decorations yet? Kate's voice drifted from the kitchen. Still looking, I called back, reaching behind an old filing cabinet to retrieve a fallen album. My fingers brushed against something unexpected, a small digital recorder wedged between the cabinet and the wall. I pulled it out, frowning at the device. We didn't own anything like this. The recorder was expensive, professional-grade equipment with a massive storage capacity. The display showed it was nearly full. My stomach tightened as I pressed play on the most recent file. Just don't understand why Alex can't see how his behavior affects the children. Kate's voice filled the garage, clear and deliberate. I recognized the setting immediately. Dr. Thornton's office. Our last therapy session 3 days ago. But we had explicitly agreed never to record our sessions. It was supposed to be a safe space. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the files. Hundreds of them. Every therapy session for the past 6 months. Conversations from our home, arguments, intimate moments. Even bedtime stories with Emma and Tyler. Find anything interesting? Kate stood in the doorway, her marketing executive smile perfectly in place. She saw the recorder in my hand, and for just a moment, her mask slipped. What is this, Kate? She stepped into the garage, closing the door behind her. It's not what you think. Really? Because it looks like you've been secretly recording our therapy sessions, our private conversations, our entire life. I needed documentation, she said, crossing her arms. Doctor, Thornton always takes your side. I needed proof of what really happens. Proof of what? That we're trying to save our marriage? Kate's expression hardened. That's not going to be necessary anymore. Something in her tone made my blood run cold. I scrolled through more files on the device, noticing they were organized into 2 folders, original and final versions. I selected a file from final versions labeled Threat Compilation 1. My own voice filled the garage, but the words were wrong, spliced together from different conversations. I will take the children. You'll never see them again. I'll make sure you regret everything. Kate, what did you do? She pulled out her phone, typing quickly. My attorney has already been notified that you found the evidence. James said this might happen. Evidence? Kate, these are fabricated. You edited these recordings. Prove it, she said simply. I've already filed the papers, Alex. The restraining order will be served Monday. You should probably find somewhere else to stay tonight. I stared at the woman I'd married 13 years ago, the mother of my children, the person I'd been trying so desperately to reconnect with in therapy. You've been planning this. For months, she confirmed. Every emotional outburst you had in therapy, every frustrated comment at home, every raised voice when the kids were acting up, I have it all. Or rather, I have my version of it all. This is illegal, Kate. Recording without consent, fabricating evidence, is it? I'm just a scared wife documenting abuse. Who's going to believe the angry husband over the frightened mother protecting her children? I pulled out my phone, my software engineering instincts kicking in. I'm calling our attorney. You mean your attorney, Kate corrected. Mine has been preparing for this for 3 months. As I waited for Lisa Allen to answer, I watched Kate walk back to the house, her heels clicking confidently on the concrete. She'd played me perfectly, using our therapy sessions not to heal our marriage but to gather raw material for her fabricated narrative. Lisa Allen. Lisa, it's Alex Porter. I need you to come to my house immediately and bring a digital forensics expert. Alex, what's going on? My wife has been recording our therapy sessions and editing them to create false evidence of abuse. She just told me she's filing for divorce and a restraining order based on fabricated audio. There was a pause. Don't touch anything else. Document everything you can with your phone. I'll be there in 30 minutes with Dr. Marcus Reed. He's the best audio forensics expert in the state. I spent the next half hour in the garage, using my phone to photograph and video every file on the recorder. My hands shook as I listened to more of Kate's edited versions. She'd turned mundane conversations into threatening rants, normal parental frustration into dangerous anger, and therapy breakthrough moments into admissions of violence that never happened. Emma's voice appeared in one recording. "Daddy, why are you yelling?" Except I recognized the source. It was from when I'd been cheering at her soccer game last month. Kate had spliced it into an argument we'd had about household chores, making it sound like our daughter was frightened of me. Lisa arrived with Dr. Reed, a tall man with graying temples who immediately set up a portable workstation in my garage. "We need to preserve the chain of custody," Dr. Reed explained, pulling on latex gloves. "This device is now evidence. Has anyone else touched it?" "Just me and Kate. She knows I found it." Dr. Reed connected the device to his laptop, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "These are sophisticated edits, but not professional level. See these waveform patterns? The audio splices are visible when you know what to look for. Background noise inconsistencies, unnatural speech patterns, micro gaps in the ambient sound." Lisa was on her phone, speaking rapidly. "Judge Martinez?" "Yes, this is Lisa Allen. I need an emergency hearing regarding the Porter divorce filing. Evidence tampering and fraud?" "Yes, Your Honor, we have a forensics expert on site now." She hung up. "We have a hearing Tuesday morning. Alex, you need to stay somewhere else tonight, but not because of any restraining order. We need to show you're cooperating fully while we expose this fraud." "What about my kids?" "Document everything. If she tries to prevent you from seeing them, record it. We're going to bury her with her own tactics." That evening, I checked into a hotel after saying goodbye to Emma and Tyler, who didn't understand why Daddy was leaving. Kate watched from the doorway, her expression victorious. "This is temporary," I told her quietly. "We'll see about that." Dr. Reed worked through the weekend, analyzing every file. By Monday morning, he had a comprehensive report documenting over 300 instances of audio manipulation. "She's been collecting raw material for 6 months," he explained in Lisa's office. "Every therapy session gave her hours of emotional content to manipulate. She could make you say virtually anything by combining different words and phrases. Can you prove it's edited?" "Absolutely. Each edit leaves digital fingerprints. Waveform inconsistencies, spectral analysis anomalies, formant trajectory breaks. It's all here." She also made amateur mistakes. In several files, you can hear the same background clock ticking at different speeds where she's spliced segments together. Lisa leaned forward. "This is criminal fraud, Alex. We're not just fighting a divorce case anymore." Detective Sarah Lynch from the Digital Crimes Unit was a small woman with sharp eyes who took extensive notes as Dr. Reed walked her through his findings. "This is evidence tampering, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit fraud," she said. If she's transmitted any of these files electronically to her attorney, that's federal. She emailed them, I said, remembering Kate's comment about her attorney being notified. She said James had been preparing for months. Detective Lynch's expression darkened. Then we need to investigate whether the attorney knew these were fabricated. If he did, he's an accomplice. The emergency hearing Tuesday morning was in Judge Martinez's chambers. Kate arrived with James Whitfield, an older attorney known for aggressive divorce tactics. She wore a conservative suit and had styled herself as the picture of a suburban mother in distress. "Your Honor," Whitfield began, "my client has documented months of emotional abuse, which we can prove are fabricated recordings," Lisa interrupted, placing Dr. Reed's report on the judge's desk. "Every single audio file has been manipulated." Judge Martinez put on reading glasses, scanning the report. "Dr. Reed, please explain your findings." Dr. Reed opened his laptop. "Your Honor, I'll demonstrate with one example. Mrs. Porter claims this recording is from a therapy session where Mr. Porter threatened her. He played Kate's edited version. If you leave me, I'll make sure you never see the children again. Now, Dr. Reed continued, here are the actual source segments from 3 different sessions. The first clip. If you leave me feeling unheard like that again, we need to address it in therapy. The second. I'll make sure the kids understand this isn't their fault. The third. You never listen when I try to explain how I see the children needing more structure. She combined phrases from different conversations to create a threat that was never made, Dr. Reed explained. I can demonstrate this with every single edited file. Judge Martinez's face flushed with anger. Mrs. Porter, did you create these recordings? Kate glanced at her attorney. I was just trying to document what was really happening. By fabricating evidence? Mr. Whitfield, did you know these recordings were edited? Whitfield's face had gone pale. Your Honor, I received these recordings in good faith from my client. But did you verify their authenticity before presenting them to this court? I trusted my client's representation. Judge Martinez removed her glasses. I'm referring this matter to the District Attorney for Criminal Prosecution. Mrs. Porter, you are prohibited from removing the children from the family home. Mr. Porter, you may return immediately. We'll reconvene when the criminal investigation is complete. Outside the courthouse, Kate grabbed my arm. Alex, please, we can work this out. You tried to destroy my life with fabricated evidence. I was desperate. You were always at work, always focused on your startup. I felt invisible. So you decided to frame me as an abuser? Detective Lynch appeared beside us. Mrs. Porter, I need you to come to the station for questioning. Kate's perfectly composed facade finally cracked. I need to call my attorney. You do that, Detective Lynch said. Mr. Porter will need a full statement from you as well, but you're free to go home. That evening, Emma and Tyler ran into my arms when I walked through the door. Daddy, Mom said you had to work far away, Emma said, clinging to me. Just for a few days, sweetheart. I'm home now. Kate sat at the kitchen table, her laptop open in front of her. Alex, we need to talk. Not in front of the kids. After I'd tucked them into bed, I found Kate in my home office, crying. I've destroyed everything, she said. Yes, you have. James dropped me as a client. He says he could be disbarred if he knew the recordings were fake. Did he know? Kate shook her head. I told him they were real. I got so good at editing them, I almost believed it myself sometimes. You need help, Kate. This level of deception, the planning, the manipulation, this isn't normal. The company called, she said quietly. Someone leaked the investigation to them. They've placed me on administrative leave pending the outcome. Over the next weeks, the investigation expanded. Detective Lynch discovered Kate had purchased specialized audio editing software and had taken online courses in audio manipulation. She'd researched divorce attorneys who were known for aggressive tactics and specifically chosen Whitfield because of his reputation for not asking too many questions. Dr. Thornton, our therapist, was devastated when she learned about the recordings. This is a complete violation of therapeutic trust, she told me during a call. I've been cooperating fully with the investigation. My notes from our sessions completely contradict the narrative Kate was trying to create. Did you have any idea she was recording? None. I'm implementing new security measures now, checking for recording devices. This has been a wake-up call for our entire practice. The criminal charges came down 3 weeks later. Kate was arrested at her office, led out in handcuffs as her colleagues watched. The local news picked up the story. Marketing executive charged with creating deepfake audio in custody battle. Lisa called me that afternoon. The DA is charging her with evidence tampering, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit fraud. If convicted on all counts, she's looking at up to 5 years in prison. What about the kids? Family court has granted you temporary full custody. Kate will have supervised visitation only. Emma and Tyler struggled to understand why Mommy could only see them with another adult present. I tried to explain in age-appropriate terms. Sometimes adults make bad choices, I told them. Mom made some bad choices, but she still loves you. Is that why the police took her? Tyler asked, his 6-year-old face serious. Yes, buddy. When adults make certain bad choices, there are consequences. The forensic analysis revealed the true extent of Kate's deception. She had created over 50 different scenarios using the recorded material. Dr. Reed's final report was 300 pages long, detailing every technical aspect of the manipulation. She put more effort into this fraud than most people put into their actual jobs, he told me during one of our meetings. The planning, the execution, the hours of editing, it's obsessive. Kate's attorney for the criminal case, a public defender named Michelle Roberts, tried to negotiate a plea deal. My client is willing to plead guilty to misdemeanor charges in exchange for probation, she offered during a meeting with the prosecutor. Assistant DA Michael Harrison laughed. She committed felony fraud, tampered with evidence, and attempted to use the family court system to steal custody based on fabricated evidence. We're not pleading this down. The trial began 4 months after my discovery in the garage. Kate had been out on bail, living with her mother, seeing the children twice a week under supervision. The prosecution's case was devastating. They presented the original recordings alongside Kate's edited versions, showing the jury exactly how she'd constructed her false narrative. Dr. Reed testified for 6 hours about the technical aspects of the fraud. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment, Prosecutor Harrison argued. This was a 6-month campaign of deception, involving hundreds of hours of secret recording and sophisticated editing. Kate's defense tried to argue that she was under emotional distress, that the pressure of a failing marriage had driven her to desperate measures. When Kate took the stand, she tried to appear sympathetic. I was scared, she testified. Alex was always angry about something, work, the kids, money. I felt like I needed protection. On cross-examination, Harrison destroyed her. Mrs. Porter, you testified you were scared of your husband, correct? Yes. Yet you continued couples therapy with him for 6 months? Dr. Thornton insisted it was safe. Did you tell Dr. Thornton you were scared? Not explicitly. Harrison pulled up therapy notes. In fact, according to Dr. Thornton's records, you repeatedly said you felt the therapy was helping and that Alex was, quote, really trying to understand your perspective. Were you lying then, or are you lying now? Kate had no good answer. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. At sentencing, Judge Rebecca Foster didn't hide her disgust. Mrs. Porter, you weaponized the family court system. You attempted to destroy your husband's reputation and relationship with his children based on lies you manufactured. This kind of behavior undermines legitimate abuse claims and makes it harder for real victims to be believed. I sentence you to 3 years in state prison, followed by 2 years of probation. Kate collapsed in her chair. Her mother sobbed in the gallery. After the criminal trial, the divorce proceedings were swift. With Kate heading to prison, custody wasn't contested. The financial settlement heavily favored me, as the court considered Kate's fraud an extreme form of marital misconduct. She'll have to pay restitution as well, Lisa explained. Your costs for the forensic analysis, legal fees, and damages for defamation. Kate's professional life was destroyed. The marketing firm fired her the day after her conviction. The story had gone viral in marketing circles, a cautionary tale about the dangers of deepfake technology and the importance of ethics. Her LinkedIn profile disappeared. Former colleagues distanced themselves. The skills that had made her successful in marketing, strategic thinking, content manipulation, narrative construction, had been turned to such a dark purpose that no company would touch her. I took the kids to see her one last time before she reported to prison. The supervised visitation room at the courthouse was sterile, with cameras in every corner. Kate looked diminished, her designer clothes replaced with simple jeans and a sweater. When she hugged Emma and Tyler, she held them like she was trying to memorize their faces. I'm going away for a while, she told them. But I love you both so much. Where are you going, Mommy? Emma asked. Somewhere I need to be. To learn from my mistakes. After the kids went to play with toys in the corner, Kate and I sat across from each other at the metal table. I'm sorry, Alex. I got so lost in my own narrative that I forgot what was real. You didn't forget. You deliberately chose deception over communication. The irony is that I destroyed the very thing I was trying to win. I wanted the kids, the house, the financial security. Now I have nothing. You did this to yourself, Kate. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Take care of them. Tell them. When they're older. Tell them I loved them enough to finally tell the truth. 2 weeks later, I stood in our driveway, watching the corrections transport van take Kate to the women's state prison 200 miles away. Emma and Tyler were at school, spared from seeing their mother in handcuffs. The house felt different without her presence, even though she'd been gone for months. I walked through the rooms remembering better times, Emma's first steps in the living room, Tyler's birthday parties in the backyard, quiet evenings when Kate and I would talk about our dreams for the future. In her home office, I found more evidence of her deception. Notebooks filled with timestamps from recordings, marking emotional moments she could splice together. Flowcharts showing different narrative constructions. It was like discovering the storyboard for my own character assassination. Dr. Reed had offered me a job consulting with his forensic audio firm. You understand this technology better than most, he said. Your software engineering background combined with what you've learned through this case, you could help other victims of audio manipulation. I accepted. It felt like finding purpose in the wreckage. The children started therapy with a specialist in parental incarceration. Dr. Jennifer Walsh was experienced in helping kids process complex family trauma. They're resilient, she told me, after the first few sessions. But they need consistency and honesty. Don't demonize their mother, but don't lie to protect her either. Emma, always perceptive, asked the hardest questions. Dad, why did Mom lie about you? I think Mom got confused about what she wanted and made bad choices to try to get it. But lying is wrong. You taught us that. Yes, it is. Even adults sometimes do things they know are wrong. Will she come back? Someday, but things will be different. Tyler, younger and less verbal about his feelings, showed his stress through behavior. Nightmares, clinginess, regression, and potty training. Dr. Walsh assured me this was normal. He's processing the loss of his mother and the stability he knew. Be patient. 6 months into Kate's sentence, I received a letter from her. The prison stationery was thin, the handwriting shakier than I remembered. Alex, I've had time to think here. Too much time, maybe. I keep replaying everything, trying to understand how I became someone capable of such deception. I think it started small. Little edits to stories I'd tell friends, making myself sound better, you sound worse. Then it escalated. By the time I was splicing audio, I'd convinced myself I was just revealing a hidden truth. But there was no hidden truth. You weren't perfect, but you were trying. I was the one who checked out, who stopped trying and started scheming instead. I'm in a program here. Cognitive behavioral therapy, they call it. Learning to recognize distorted thinking patterns. The therapist says I showed signs of antisocial personality traits, manipulation, lack of remorse, elaborate planning to harm others. I'm working on it. Not for you, not even for the kids, but because I can't live with who I became. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I finally understand the magnitude of what I did. Kate. I read the letter 3 times, then filed it away. I wasn't ready to respond, wasn't sure I ever would be. The marketing industry publication Adweek ran a feature on the case, calling it The Dark Side of Content Creation. They interviewed professors of media ethics, digital forensics experts, and attorneys about the implications. This case represents a watershed moment, one expert said. As audio and video manipulation becomes easier, we need stronger verification methods and harsher penalties for those who weaponize these tools. Kate's former company implemented mandatory ethics training, including a segment specifically about the legal and moral implications of using content creation skills for personal vendettas. James Whitfield, Kate's divorce attorney, faced his own consequences. The Bar Association investigated his failure to verify evidence. While he wasn't disbarred, he received a formal censure and was required to complete additional ethics training. I trusted my client, he said in his defense, but I should have been more diligent, especially with digital evidence. His reputation was damaged. Several clients left his firm, not wanting to be associated with the scandal. A year after Kate's conviction, I was invited to speak at a conference on digital fraud and family law. Standing before an audience of attorneys, judges, and forensic experts, I shared our story. The technology to manipulate reality is in everyone's pocket, I said. My ex-wife used consumer-grade software and YouTube tutorials to create convincing false evidence. If I hadn't found that recorder, if Dr. Reed hadn't been able to analyze the files, I might have lost everything based on fabricated evidence. During the Q&A, a family court judge asked, "What safeguards would you recommend?" Mandatory authentication of digital evidence in custody cases. Court-appointed forensic experts when manipulation is suspected. And serious criminal penalties for those who fabricate evidence, not just in family court, but in any legal proceeding. The approach to our house had changed. Security cameras covered every angle, inside and out. Not because I feared Kate, she was still in prison, but because I'd learned how easily reality could be manipulated without witnesses. Emma had joined the middle school debate team, her experience with her mother's deception having given her a sharp eye for logical fallacies and emotional manipulation. "Dad, listen to this argument and tell me what's wrong with it," she'd say, practicing her cases. She was learning to think critically, to question narratives, to look for evidence. Skills I wished I'd taught her earlier, under better circumstances. Tyler had found his own way to process the trauma. He'd become obsessed with detective stories, with puzzles, with finding out what really happened. His teacher said it was his way of trying to make sense of his mother's deception. The supervised visitation continued monthly. Kate, in her orange jumpsuit, would spend 2 hours with the children in the prison's family room. The visits were hard. Tyler would be excited to see her, but confused about why she couldn't come home. Emma was more reserved, watching her mother with eyes that had seen too much. "She looks different," Emma said after one visit. "How so?" "Smaller, like she's shrinking." Prison was changing Kate. The confident marketing executive who'd orchestrated an elaborate fraud was gone. In her place was someone quieter, more introspective. Whether it was genuine change or another performance, I couldn't tell. Maybe I'd never be able to tell with her again. Dr. Thornton retired early, the violation of her therapy sessions having shaken her faith in her practice. 40 years of helping couples, she told me during our last session, and I never saw this coming. I feel like I failed you both. You didn't fail us. Kate failed us, and herself. I keep thinking about all the signs I might have missed. Her reluctance to engage with certain exercises, the way she'd redirect when we got close to her own accountability. Hindsight is always clearer, Dr. Thornton. She nodded, but I could see the weight of it on her. Another casualty of Kate's deception. The forensic audio consulting work grew. I partnered with Dr. Reed officially, and we handled cases across the country. Custody battles, criminal cases, corporate espionage, audio manipulation was everywhere. "We're like digital archaeologists," Dr. Reed said during one late night analyzing files. "Digging through layers of manipulation to find the truth." One case hit particularly close to home. A father in Oregon had discovered his ex-wife was coaching their children to make false abuse allegations, recording them repeatedly until they got the story right. "This is what Kate would have escalated to," I told Dr. Reed, "if she hadn't been caught." We provided the evidence that not only cleared the father but led to criminal charges against the mother. Another family saved from manufactured evidence. 2 years into Kate's sentence, her mother contacted me. "She's changed, Alex. The therapy, the programs. She's really working on herself." "That's good for her." "She wants to apologize to you. Really apologize, not manipulate or negotiate. Just acknowledge what she did." "I'm not ready for that." "When will you be?" "I don't know. Maybe never." Kate's mother sighed. I understand. I don't forgive her either, not fully. She destroyed her family for what? Pride? Control? I raised her better than that. Or I thought I did. The ripples of Kate's actions continued spreading. Her case became a textbook study in law schools, a cautionary tale in marketing ethics courses, a reference point in discussions about deepfake technology and its dangers. A documentary producer reached out, wanting to tell our story. It's important, she argued. People need to understand how easy it is to fabricate evidence, how devastating the consequences can be. I declined. Emma and Tyler had been through enough without having their family tragedy turned into entertainment. As Kate's release date approached, she'd been approved for early parole after serving 2.5 years. The house tensed. Emma, now 11, was openly anxious. What if she tries to take us? She can't. The court won't allow it. What if she lies again? Then we'll prove she's lying, just like before. Tyler, 8 now, was cautiously optimistic. Maybe she's better now. Maybe prison fixed her. I didn't have the heart to tell him that people don't get fixed. They might change, might improve, might learn to manage their destructive impulses. But the capacity for what Kate had done would always be there, lurking beneath whatever rehabilitation she'd undergone. The parole hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. I attended, along with Lisa Allen and Dr. Reed. Kate appeared on video from the prison, looking older, grayer, thinner. Mrs. Porter, the parole board chair, began, "You've served 2.5 years of a 3-year sentence for evidence tampering, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Tell us why you believe you should be released early." Kate's voice was steady. "I don't know if I should be released early. I committed serious crimes that hurt my family, violated the trust of the legal system, and could have destroyed an innocent man's life. I've spent every day in here thinking about that." "What have you learned during your incarceration?" "That I have a personality disorder that predisposes me to manipulation and deception. I've been in intensive therapy, learning to recognize and interrupt those patterns. I'm not cured. I don't think there is a cure, but I'm aware now. I know what I'm capable of, and that knowledge itself is a kind of protection against repeating my crimes." "If released, what are your plans?" "I've been accepted into a transitional housing program. I have a job offer from a nonprofit that helps women leaving incarceration. It's minimum wage, but it's honest work. I want to rebuild my life on a foundation of truth, even if that foundation is small and humble." "Mr. Porter, as the victim of Mrs. Porter's crimes, you have the right to speak." I stood. Kate's crimes weren't just against me. They were against our children, who lost their mother to her own deception. Against the legal system she tried to manipulate. Against every real victim of abuse whose credibility is questioned because of people who lie. I can't forgive her for that. But I also believe in redemption. If she's genuinely committed to change, then she deserves the chance to prove it. Just not near me or our children. The board granted parole with strict conditions. Kate would live 200 miles away, have no unsupervised contact with the children, submit to regular psychological evaluations, and be prohibited from using any audio or video editing software. She was released on a Thursday. I didn't tell the kids exactly when. Dr. Walsh had advised against it to avoid anxiety. But Emma figured it out anyway. "She's out, isn't she?" she asked that evening. "Yes." "Are you scared?" "No, the law is protecting us." "But the law didn't protect you before. Not until you found the recorder." She was right, of course. The system had failed initially. would have continued failing if not for lucky discovery and expert analysis. That's why we're careful now, I told her. Why we document things. Why we have security cameras. Why we know what to look for. Kate sent letters to the children through the supervised visitation coordinator. Simple messages, age-appropriate, reviewed by Dr. Walsh before delivery. I love you both. I'm working on being better. I hope someday you can forgive me. Emma read hers once and threw it away. Tyler kept his under his pillow. The first supervised visitation after Kate's release was at a neutral facility, a cheerful room with toys and books designed to make children comfortable during difficult meetings. Kate looked different in civilian clothes. A simple sweater and jeans from a thrift store, her hair unstyled, no makeup. You look pretty, Mommy, Tyler said, running to hug her. Emma hung back, observing. Hi, sweetheart, Kate said to her. You've grown so tall. That happens in 3 years, Emma replied coolly. They played board games, did puzzles, talked about school. Kate didn't push, didn't try to justify or explain beyond what was age-appropriate. The supervisor noted she followed all protocols, didn't attempt any manipulation. After the visit in the car, Emma broke down. I hate her, and I love her, and I don't know what to feel. That's okay. You don't have to know. Feelings don't have to make sense. Did you love her before? Very much? Do you still? No, but I did once, and that was real, even if what came after was lies. 6 months after Kate's release, I met someone. Laura was a child psychologist who worked with Dr. Walsh's practice. She knew our story, had even used it as a case study in her doctoral dissertation on parental deception and childhood trauma. Aren't you concerned about getting involved with someone who's been through what I have? I asked her over coffee. Everyone has baggage. Yours just has exceptional documentation. She made me laugh, something I hadn't done freely in years. Laura met the kids gradually, professionally at first through the therapy practice, then casually at school events, finally as Dad's friend who sometimes joined us for dinner. Emma was suspicious. How do we know she's not lying too? We don't, not absolutely. But we can be careful, observant, and trust our instincts. Your instincts trusted Mom. They did, and I learned from that mistake. Kate found out about Laura through Tyler, who mentioned her during a supervised visit. Dad has a friend named Laura. She's nice. She taught me card tricks. The supervisor reported that Kate's reaction was controlled, appropriate. I'm glad your dad has a friend. Is she nice to you and Emma? Yeah, she's teaching Emma psychology stuff. Emma says she's going to be a therapist like Dr. Walsh. Later, Kate sent me a letter through her attorney. Alex, I heard you're seeing someone. I want you to know I'm genuinely happy for you. You deserve love and trust and partnership, everything I failed to give you. I know I have no right to ask anything, but please, make sure she's good to our children. That's all I care about now. Kate. I didn't respond, but I did run a background check on Laura. Then felt guilty about it. Then realized that healthy paranoia was perhaps inevitable after what I'd been through. Laura passed, of course. Not just the background check, but the months of observation, the children's growing comfort with her, the consistent honesty she showed in every interaction. A year after her release, Kate was arrested again. Not for anything involving us. She'd been caught recording her parole officer without consent, trying to gather evidence that he was treating her unfairly. Old habits, Detective Lynch told me when she called with the news. She lasted longer than I expected, honestly. The arrest was a violation of her parole. Kate went back to prison to serve the remainder of her original sentence plus an additional year for the new charge. Emma's reaction was relief. Good. I don't have to worry about seeing her for a while. Tyler was devastated. Why did she do something bad again? Some people have a hard time stopping their bad patterns, I explained. Like how you sometimes still bite your nails even though you're trying to quit. But with much bigger consequences. Dr. Reed and I published a paper in the Journal of Digital Forensics about our work, using Kate's case as a primary example while maintaining legal anonymity. The sophistication of consumer-available editing tools means that any digital evidence must be scrutinized, we wrote. Trust but verify has become simply verify, verify, verify. The paper was well received, cited in numerous court cases where audio or video evidence was challenged. One judge wrote to us, "Your work has fundamentally changed how I evaluate digital evidence. What seemed convincing at face value often falls apart under proper analysis." 3 years after Kate's initial arrest, our divorce was ancient history to everyone but us. The kids had adapted to their new normal. Emma was thriving in high school, her debate skills sharp, her trust slowly rebuilding through therapy and consistent supportive relationships. Tyler had channeled his detective interests into coding, learning to build and deconstruct programs. Laura and I got married in a small ceremony. Emma was my best person, Tyler the ring bearer. It was simple, honest, real. Everything my first wedding had appeared to be but wasn't. Kate sent a card from prison. Just congratulations and her name. No manipulation, no guilt, no false sentiment. Progress, perhaps. The house felt different with Laura there. Lighter somehow, as if Kate's shadow had finally been exorcised. We redecorated, not to erase the past but to acknowledge the present. Family photos included Laura now, vacation pictures where everyone was genuinely smiling. One evening, I found Emma in my home office, reading the forensic report from Kate's case. "You shouldn't be reading that." "I'm 16, Dad. I have a right to know what happened." She was right. We'd protected her from the details, but she was old enough now to understand the full scope of her mother's deception. It's technical and disturbing. I know. But I need to understand how someone who said they loved us could do this. I sat with her as she read, answering technical questions, providing context. When she finished, she was crying. She was sick, wasn't she? Mentally ill? That's one way to understand it. Personality disorders, behavioral patterns. But mental illness doesn't excuse the choices she made. Could I inherit it? The ability to lie like that? You're already asking that question, which means you're aware, conscientious. That's your protection. Kate was released again when Tyler was 14 and Emma 17. This time, she didn't attempt contact. Her parole officer reported she was living quietly, working at a warehouse, attending mandatory therapy. Then, 6 months later, we got word she'd died. Car accident. Rainy night, missed curve, single vehicle. The investigation found no signs of intoxication or intentional action. Just an accident. I felt nothing at first. Then relief. Then guilt about the relief. Then sadness for the woman I'd once loved, who'd become someone unrecognizable. Telling the kids was the hardest thing I'd done since the original arrest. Emma took it stoically. I grieved losing her years ago. This just makes it final. Tyler cried, mourning the mother he'd hoped would someday get better. Be better. The funeral was small. Her mother, a few relatives, us. Kate was cremated, her ashes scattered in a park where she'd played as a child, before she became someone who could systematically destroy her own family. Going through her effects, her mother found notebooks from prison, years of therapy notes, self-reflection, attempts to understand her own pathology. One entry stood out. I was the villain in my own story. I painted Alex as the monster to justify my monstrous behavior. The truth is simple and terrible. I wanted to win more than I wanted to love. By the time I realized what I'd lost, it was too late. The woman who loved her family died the day I started editing those recordings. What remained was just a shell, animated by spite and strategy. I kept that page. Not for forgiveness or closure, but as evidence that somewhere, buried beneath layers of deception and manipulation, Kate had found a moment of truth. 5 years after her death, I retired from forensic consulting. The work had been important, helping dozens of families avoid the trap we'd fallen into. But I was tired of living in the world of deception, of spending my days uncovering lies. Laura and I bought a house by the lake. Smaller, simpler, with no garage to hide secrets in. Emma was in law school, specializing in family law with a focus on digital evidence. Tyler was developing authentication software, creating the tools to detect what his mother had done. We're the Porter family legacy, Emma said during a holiday dinner, preventing what happened to us from happening to others. It wasn't the legacy Kate and I had imagined when we'd married 23 years earlier. But it was honest, built on truth rather than manipulation, strength rather than deception. Sometimes late at night, I think about the woman I married. Not the criminal she became, but the young marketing executive who'd charmed me with her creativity and ambition. Had the seeds of destruction always been there? Or had something broken along the way, turning creativity into deception, ambition into manipulation? I'll never know. The only truth I have is the evidence, recordings, originals, and edited, showing the progression from married couple to victim and perpetrator, the forensic reports documenting each splice, each lie, each deliberate distortion of reality. The truth is in the waveforms, Dr. Reed used to say. And in the end, the waveforms revealed everything. The lies Kate told, the truth she tried to hide, and the family she destroyed in her quest to win a war she'd declared alone. Laura found me in my office one evening, looking at the old forensic reports. Still processing? Always, I think. It's like a puzzle I can't quite solve. How someone could do that to people they claim to love? Maybe that's the answer. She didn't love you, not really. She loved the idea of winning, of control, of being the victim and the victor simultaneously. But we had good years, real moments. The kids were tools to her, ultimately. Weapons in a war you didn't know you were fighting. She was right. The hardest truth was accepting that while my love had been real, Kate's might never have been. Or if it was so contaminated with manipulation and strategy that it became indistinguishable from deception. Emma called from law school, excited about a case she was working on. Dad, we caught another one. A mother creating fake text messages to frame the father. But here's the thing. She used the same software Mom did. We could prove it because of the digital signatures you and Dr. Reed documented. Your mother's case becoming case law to protect other families. There's some justice in that. It doesn't make what she did right? No. But it makes something useful from the wreckage. Tyler's software had been picked up by major tech companies, integrated into their platforms to detect and flag potentially manipulated content. He'd named it TruthWave, a nod to Dr. Reed's favorite saying about waveforms revealing truth. Every time it catches someone trying to fake evidence, I think about Mom, he told me. How if this had existed then, maybe she wouldn't have tried, or would have been caught sooner. You can't change the past, Tyler. No, but I can shape the future. The lake house became our sanctuary. No recordings, no hidden devices, no secrets. Just honest living, day by day, building trust through consistency and truth. Laura suggested we write a book about the experience, but I declined. This story lived in court records, forensic reports, and the memories of those who lived it. That was enough documentation for one lifetime. Besides, the real story wasn't about Kate's deception or my vindication. It was about afterward, how a family rebuilds after betrayal, how children learn to trust after their mother weaponized their love, how a man learns to believe in truth again after living inside someone else's lie. That story was still being written, one honest day at a time. On what would have been our 25th wedding anniversary, I stood at the lake's edge, holding the last box of evidence from the case. Police reports, court transcripts, forensic analyses, thousands of pages documenting the destruction of a marriage and family. Emma and Tyler stood with me. "Are you going to burn it?" Tyler asked. "No, it's evidence, truth. We don't destroy truth even when it's painful. Then what? We file it away, archive it, let it exist without letting it define us." We walked back to the house together, the box tucked under my arm. In the basement, I'd prepared a filing cabinet, locked, climate-controlled, preserved. The evidence would remain, a testament to what happened, a warning about what people were capable of, a record of survival and justice. As I filed the last document, I found a photo that had fallen between pages. Kate and me on our wedding day, both young, smiling, seemingly in love. I studied our faces looking for signs of what was to come. But there were none. Just two people beginning a journey that would end in criminal court and prison. I kept the photo, not from sentiment, but as evidence that even happiness can be a performance, that love can be a strategy, that the person sleeping beside you might be recording every word for later manipulation. Laura called down, "Dinner's ready." "Coming." I locked the filing cabinet, pocketed the key, and went upstairs to my real life. The one built on truth, verified and authenticated, proven genuine not through forensic analysis, but through daily acts of honest love. The manufactured evidence of my destruction had failed. The genuine evidence of my family's resilience had prevailed. And that, more than any courtroom victory or prison sentence, was justice,